How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I want to talk about why you want to get to 0.21 Bitcoin here today. So we're going to go through that. I'm going to explain why that is so significant, why it's such a big deal. I also am going to play for you this clip. Michael Saylor, who is a Bitcoin billionaire, talking about whether 0.1 Bitcoin is enough. If you don't mind, hit subscribe. Turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this one as soon as I make them. There are also links underneath the video in case you want to start trading over on AIRDROP. You can trade cryptocurrency assets and bet more on the short-term speculative price action, and it can be used to leverage to get higher and higher gains during the bull market. As you can see here too, we had a little bit of a rejection there, another rejection there, and then it looks like we're flipping that perfectly into support here. Support. It looks pretty bullish, but of course do your own research. There's also a link underneath the video to CoinW as well, where you can trade cryptocurrencies using leverage. You can also trade spot. So there are links to both of those, and they have a huge jungle airdrop. So just the more you trade, the more tokens you get. Just hit the join now button with the link underneath the video and you'll be able to start trading and getting some of these free tokens. Over on Margex, they also are doing a $5 million hamster airdrop. So both of those are meme coins. Who knows what they're worth in a couple months, but if you want to get those free tokens, you can just sell them right away. Now, there's some interesting news here today, which we're going to put off for a future video, including Coinbase US Marshal Service collaboration. We also have some news here that they had a $32.5 million contract with them, with the Marshal Service. So we'll get into that at some point. But first, let's start with just how much Bitcoin is important. Is 0.21 Bitcoin enough? Is 1 Bitcoin enough? Is 0.1 Bitcoin enough? And I want to give you some of my thoughts on it. Then I'll play the clip. I won't spend too long on myself, but I think 0.21 Bitcoin is a great goal for a lot of people to hit. Of course, if you're just starting off, if you're making $14 an hour and you have to pay for stuff, it's going to take a very long time to hit 0.21 Bitcoin. This is a bit arbitrary. This goal is not perfect for everyone. But let's think about it. Okay, 0.21 Bitcoin is worth about $13,000 right now. 0.21 Bitcoin. Now, this is a good chunk of money, right? This is a good chunk of money. Now, it's enough that you can have maybe a couple months income set aside. Like if it was just an emergency fund in cash, it's great. It's a good cushion. You could buy a car with it. But this is not money that you're going to be able to retire on. Like this $13,000 worth of economic value, it's not enough to retire on solely, right? You're not going to go put this in the S&P 500 and have it be worth $2 million by the time that you retire, unless you're like 1 year old, right? But think about it this way. You have this $13,000. Let's say it is in Bitcoin instead of in the US dollar, okay? There are only 100 million people that can ever have 0.21 Bitcoin if it was spread out equally. Now, we're approaching 10 billion people on Earth. So only 1 out of every 100 people can ever get to 0.21 Bitcoin. But you have to remember too that isn't exactly correct either, because there are a lot of people that hold more than 0.21 Bitcoin, right? We have billionaires that hold 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 Bitcoin. So when you look at the Bitcoin on exchanges, there may be 2 million Bitcoin. Split that 2 million Bitcoin up by the number of people on Earth, and it's a totally different story. There are only 10 million people that can ever buy 0.21 Bitcoin. The problem is most people, let's say the price keeps on appreciating, most people will never get to 0.21 Bitcoin, because imagine Bitcoin goes to $1 million. Okay, it's a little bit bigger than the market cap of gold, maybe just around the same size as the market cap of gold if gold continues to appreciate over the next 5 or 10 years. 0.21 Bitcoin, impossible for most people to get to. That's 200 grand worth of one asset. Most people will never get there. The interesting thing is, though, that you're buying something that's finite with something that is infinite. I mean, take a look at this. This is hard to watch. The U.S. national debt, since I started this video, went up $5 million. Okay, 5 minutes, $5 million, something like that. The problem is we have so much debt in the world. Interest per adult This is unfunded debt / interest, 17,000. 17,000, okay? Just think about how much debt is created, how much interest is created every single day. Interest on debt is nearing $1 trillion. Okay? So we have this asset, right? We have this asset that is the US dollar. We have $13,000 worth of them. Okay? Great. However, you know that's going to depreciate every single day. Every single day it's depreciating. Now, maybe there's a time period, maybe a couple days or a week, where it appreciates versus the entire stock market or against housing or against Bitcoin. But that's generally not what's going to happen. Right? Maybe 10 out of 12 months, 11 out of 12 months, something like that. It's going to depreciate. And the problem is, if you hold it in US dollars, you keep on losing value, but you could put it into something like Bitcoin that continues to become more and more scarce, continues to be more and more sought after by really wealthy individuals, and you can put in something that is not going to inflate to infinity. You can actually put your economic value into something that will appreciate. It's actually helping you over time as opposed to hurting you over time, which is something that's so interesting to a lot of people. That's why a lot of people like Bitcoin. One of the many reasons people like Bitcoin. Now, I do think 0.21 is a bit arbitrary. Now, the reason I pick it is because it's 1/100 millionth of the network, right? But the thing is, everyone's at a different spot in their wealth building journey. Just like if I said, you need to bench press 100 pounds, that will be enough. Enough for what? What are your goals? It depends on your goals, right? Some people are built massive. Some people are very skinny. So just like some people have a lot of money, some people don't have a lot of money. The key is you want to set some goal that's achievable, but also difficult, right? And of course, wealth building is a little bit different. You want to make sure you're diversified, that you can handle the mental difficulties of having so much in one asset. So you want to make sure that it's right for your situation. But just like if you hit 100 pounds on the bench press, is your life any different from when you hit 95 pounds on the bench press to 100 pounds? Not really. You're just incrementally better off, a little bit stronger. Just like if you hit 0.21 versus 0.18, you're just incrementally better. For some people, that's not enough Bitcoin. If you're worth $1 billion and you have 0.21 Bitcoin, that's probably not enough of a hedge in case this thing goes really well. You probably want 1 to 5%, for example. But of course, this is not financial advice. I do want to show you what Michael Saylor has said about whether 0.1 Bitcoin was enough. Not 0.21, but just 0.1. Let me play this for you.
I feel like I'm a little late to the party. There's no way I can accumulate one whole Bitcoin. I mean, at this point, I'm shooting for 0.1 Bitcoin. So, I mean, I guess my question is 0.1 Bitcoin of any significance?
You know, New York was the greatest city in North America by about 1776. And you would have been late to the party. But the question is, would you buy a city block in New York in 1776? Or if you waited till 1876 and you were really late to the party and New York was the greatest city in North America, was it too late to buy a city block in New York City in 1876? Or how about 1976? If you were 200 years late to New York City, if you look at the property values of New York in 1976, what you'll find is you would be rich if you had actually bought real estate in New York in 1976. So the answer to the issue is in every economic system, every economic empire, there's always one city, one place one network where people gravitate to. In the ancient Med, it was Carthage for a while. And then it was Rome, and then it was Venice, and eventually the French Empire terminated in Paris, and the British Empire terminated in London, and then eventually the American economic empire terminated in New York. And there are reasons why. It's just everybody comes together in that place. Even today, New York is still the economic epicenter of the United States. And so Bitcoin represents the economic epicenter of cyberspace. It is the one place where if I want to create a digital application, if I want to move money at the speed of light, and I live in Singapore, I'm using Bitcoin. If I live in Paris, I'm using Bitcoin. If I live in Moscow, I'm using Bitcoin. If I live in China, I'm using Bitcoin. So you see, everybody in the world that actually believes in the idea of a digital asset that wants to build this as a treasury reserve asset, they're going to gravitate toward the most powerful network. Why? Because everybody else is gravitating there. Why do people go to New York? Because the smart money is in New York. I could go to New York 20 years ago. I could take 10 meetings. I could raise $1 billion in 2 days. So why would we be so stupid as to go to New York? Well, because that's where the money is. The money is in New York. So I went. And what did I bring with me? I brought my brain power and I built my business there. And so I then reinforced that network effect. Today, the smart money is in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's about a $500 billion network. How big can it get? Well, 500 trillion, 1,000x bigger in today's dollars. There's about $950 trillion worth of wealth out there, 350 trillion worth of real estate. Half of it is just capital or monetary premium. $300 trillion worth of bonds, half of it is just a monetary premium. 100 trillion worth of equity, half of it is a monetary premium. 12 trillion worth of gold, 80% of it is a monetary premium. So as the world gets smarter, people are going to sell those things because they don't make good money. Gold is awful money, right? It's just awful money. If you store your money in gold, you're losing half of your wealth every 35 years. So why would you do that, right? It's not working. In the last 2.5 years, gold is down 5%, Bitcoin is up 150%. The only people that are buying or holding gold are people that aren't paying attention, right? The smart money is clearly running away from it. And in time, people will dump their gold. And when they dump their gold, Bitcoin will jump by a factor of 10. So the answer to the question of why you should buy a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin represents one block in cyber New York, which has got 21 million blocks for all of eternity. And in the year 2500, people are going to be moving to cyber New York, right? I mean, New York was founded a long time ago, right? The only thing that keeps people from continuing to come into the great city, whether it's the New York or the London or the Paris, is when the economic flows move from the physical domain to the digital domain. As long as you did business in an analog world where you had to like put on a suit and walk into a building and meet with people, then you're going to see London and Paris and Tokyo and Hong Kong be great cities. When the economy moves to the digital realm, and you don't have to put on a suit and walk into a building, and you can have a Zoom meeting of 20 people in 20 places and raise $1 billion in a day, right? Then some of the economic energy drains out of the city networks and it drains into the crypto network. And so buying a Bitcoin, whether it's 1 Bitcoin or 1 million Satoshis or 100,000 Satoshis or 1 Satoshi, is just like buying into New York City 250 years ago. Yeah, sure, you're late. People got there 100 years before you. Okay? Well, in this case, someone got there 14 years before you. I once tweeted, very famously, I said, I think Bitcoin is, going the way of online gambling. And I think Bitcoin's like $100 a coin then. Okay? And I was wrong, but I didn't need it. I was wrong. When I needed Bitcoin was $9,500, $10,000 a coin. And so I bought it at $10,000 instead of $100. People will buy it at 100,000. They will buy it at 1 million. They will probably buy it at 10 million, right? Because, how much does it cost for an apartment in Manhattan? People pay $10 million for 4,000 square feet. $10 million, right? All of Manhattan was purchased for $29 in beads or something. If you roll the clock back, some nothing. And so you can't really get caught up in what the unit price is. You have to ask the question, what is the dominant network in cyberspace? And Bitcoin is the dominant network. And the reason it's the dominant network is a bunch of things. One, all the smart money arrived there, right? If all the smart people that wanted a decentralized, non-sovereign store of value crypto network, if they all showed up, looked at 10,000 choices and picked this one and put all their money on it, right? That's like all the smart people, they showed up in America and they picked New York. You know why they picked New York? New York is sitting on 200 million year old granite schist, right? It's indestructible as an island, Manhattan. It's sitting between a bunch of rivers. It's sitting in front of one of the world's great harbors. And it's sitting at the mouth of the Hudson River, which is a mile wide, deep, and it goes straight right into the heart of the country. So if you were picking a port city, it was the most rock solid, geographically sound, logistically sound, well engineered port you could possibly imagine, and so it matters. And Bitcoin represents the same thing. Bitcoin is backed by 400 exahash of digital energy, and 400 exahash of digital energy makes it the most powerful computer network in the world. And so if I'm going to put $1 billion on it, I would want the indestructible, nation-state resistant, fault tolerant, most powerful computer network in the world. I wouldn't want the second most powerful network. And I wouldn't want a network 100 times less powerful. I want a network where you would need every computer in the world to slow it down 10%, and you would need all the electricity in the world to slow it down 10%. And that's what Bitcoin represents because of the way it's engineered. It represents an indestructible, unstoppable, most powerful computer network. And so anybody is looking to, if you're looking right now, you shouldn't look at it as, well, I wanted to buy something cheap and wait for it to go up 100x, so I better buy something that's a penny stock. Like, there is a meme, we call it penny stocks, right? The whole joke of a penny stock is, if you really wanted a penny stock, we can manufacture thousands of them. That's the theme of the movie Boiler Room. The Wolf of Wall Street did that. It's been going on for hundreds of years. People manufacture a penny stock and they tell you buy it for a penny, it's going to go up to $5. You're going to make 500 extra money. That's not what you want. You want a cheap apartment? I'll sell you a $4 million apartment in New York, which looks expensive, or I'll sell you a $42,000 apartment, in some random suburb, in a third world country. But the point really is, which is the better real estate investment? It's not a matter of the cost to buy the thing. It's a question of how secure is the network you're buying into. And everybody will tell you, you buy the beachfront property in Palm Beach or Miami Beach, you're better off to buy a house on land than to buy the apartment. You're better off to buy the apartment in the good building than the bad building, and you're better off to buy the apartment in the good neighborhood than the bad neighborhood. And you're better off to buy the real estate in the capital city of Rome or London or Paris or New York than to buy the real estate in the 13th biggest city in the country when the inflation comes. So that would be my answer to that question.
Big shout out to Altcoin Daily. Great interviewers there. Great people too. Really cool people. But that might be the key. Stop looking at the amount. Stop looking at the price. And just think about, where should this money go? What is the goal of this money? Is the Bitcoin network still secure? And maybe then you want to make an investment into it. Of course, I like looking at the numbers. I do. But I will always hold some Bitcoin. No matter the price, I'm always going to hold some Bitcoin. For me, it's more about stacking at opportune times and trimming at opportune times. But I will never sell out of everything. You never should say it, never, but that is my thinking. So let me know your thoughts on that underneath the video. Is 0.1 Bitcoin enough? Is 0.21 Bitcoin? Is 0.21 Bitcoin enough? Also, if you do want to trade, there are those links to Margex and to CoinW underneath the video. If you're going to Bitcoin Nashville, if you're still watching this, there is a link to Bitcoin Nashville underneath the video where you can get 10% off your tickets. So definitely check that out. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will see you all in the next video.